Hello and welcome to a little Christmas Day reading. Oops. Okay, so I was about to press record and then I dropped this deck. It's the nocturnal cards that I like to use. I literally spilled them all over. I mean, it's just floor over here. I have like my various perches and side tables and stuff for my jars of water and my crystals and whatever else I want. And cards went everywhere. So some of them are not the right way. And the only two that fell in front of me were the Fool and the High Priestess. And the Three of Swords, actually. But I'm going to do a quick reading. I hope everybody's doing really well today. Such an interesting day. Like, just the energy of a day like this when things are closed is interesting. My brother wanted to have mimosas, and so he's like, can you get orange juice on your way over here? Because he's with my grandparents, and I'm at my own place, and I went over early this morning to spend the first part of the day with them. So I went to find orange juice on my way over, but I slept in because my phone died in the night. And I didn't want to have to wake up for anything, but I was like, I should go over early, and if I don't have an alarm, I won't wake up. I was like, we're lucky. I could have woken up at like 1 p.m. and been like, oh no, I missed the whole thing. And the whole thing, I just mean having brunch and opening gifts, going for a little walk, playing with the dogs. But whatever your day looks like today, I hope you've been able to find some peace and solitude and comfort in the stillness, because that's what I liked. I was like, is the gas station even going to be open if I have to go get OJ? And I mean, it was nice. There's like a little table full of policemen sitting there eating their donuts. Just like, hey, Merry Christmas. They're just hanging out. I actually ran into somebody I work with too, and I was getting my OJ. I wish that it didn't take a holiday for people to have just like really genuine, kind humanity within them, though, because I was walking the dogs with my brother out in the neighborhood. My grandparents live in a very sweet, friendly, like neighborly neighborhood anyway, but just like if you walk down the sidewalk on any given day, there's a very high likelihood that the person you pass by is not even going to look at you or acknowledge you, and they probably have headphones in and they're doing their own thing, and the world's too busy for anybody to even look at anybody anymore. Not in Vermont, guys. My friend who I took home to Vermont was like, everybody's so nice. Everybody like actually genuinely cares about us as humans. I was like, yeah. Isn't that something? Like you walk into a store and it's immediately just like, welcome in. How are you guys? What do you, and it's not just like some type of sales I mean, of course it is. Of course it is. They're stores, but you've got happy people passionate about what it is that they're doing, and they're kind and they're genuine. And I find that on a day like today, no matter where you are in public, if you're pumping up gas or just like on the roads or like seeing people in a store or whatever it is that a person has to go out to do on a day like Christmas, there's just a different quality about the interactions. And that's nice. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it shouldn't be special. Shouldn't be special or reserved for little rural, places. All right, so this is kicking us off because it was the card that was left in the box. I just shuffled those and I didn't notice this. What does it say? Love it. Partnerships and alliances. Partnerships and alliances. So what I got when I was settling into my space before I pressed record and what I wanted to focus on, and the reason why I picked this deck before I dropped it and spilled them all over the place, was that I feel as if you didn't, please, or do as you will, you do whatever you want to. I posted an update on the updates page of wordsmithoftheempyreal.com because it was a bunch of stuff that I was writing out. And I've chunked it up. I'll post the second half of all of that today on there. But I was talking about leaving certain things in 2023. And I want this reading to be about that and like showing us what it is that's still lingering, because there is a collective component to that. It's making this, what I'm seeing, I'm sorry, I'm a heavy-handed person. You've probably noticed that if you've ever watched me. I just slam things around and like hope that nothing breaks and stuff, but I know that sometimes it can come through as like a loud sound on the audio, so I'm sorry. What it feels like, oh yeah, it's like a dog jumping over certain obstacles in one of the dog shows. That's kind of how it's winding down here into the new year. And we've got temperance on the bottom. I've been thinking about this card a lot, talking about it, feeling it through the kind of like honey analogy that I used in that posting as well, around like flowing, but being all encompassing, but being dense and inescapable. There's this thing that's very much so closing in around us. I mean, I had the most interesting conversation with my grandmother this afternoon about all sorts of stuff. She's a very well-informed lady, and she's like at a point where she's gonna stop watching the news. The Hierophant and the Ten of Swords. Okay. She's gonna stop watching the news because it's so disturbing to her. And I was talking about this with my grandfather because he's frankly just as pissed off about the whole Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing as I am. And we're like sitting there, and he's like an 89-year-old man who just wants to see the damn sports. And I'm like, it's outrageous. They just bombed Bethlehem, and we're looking at them like. Anyway, different reasons, but just like, you know, a lot of people I think are just kind of over certain things these days. Okay, I don't want these cards because that's far too many. We have the Two of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Hierophant. What I want for the spread that I do with these to help us think about is what the tricky steps at the end of the maneuver or the routine that the show dog is doing in order to close out this year, where the lessons lie, or where the more collective, if we could identify collective, which we can, sticking points in what's happening now, where those are, what those look like, how those feel, how they might start to feel and look for you as you identify them and move towards January. And we'll see what we get with that. So again, partnerships and alliances. And I think it's the Three of Wands, so I might read from this. I'm getting the nudge to do, but first let's look at these two. So the Hierophant in this card, and I've like pointed this out before, but it's been a while. He kind of resembles the Baphomet here, okay, which is affiliated with like the devil. So it's interesting, but he's holding, if you see this arm that comes across, it's like scrolls. I see this as rolled up scrolls, and they're the brightest, most illuminated thing in the whole card. You can still see them even if I pull it all the way back here, because they're these scrolls of destiny, right? The Hierophant is about contracts and official things. It can be higher education, right? It can be marriage commitments, but it's like a serious, fated type of destined thing or path, okay? And with it, when we see the Two of Wands and the Ten of Swords, this Ten of Swords is so wild. I kind of feel like these scrolls are representative of these two wands, right? Scrolls of destiny and fate. We see them spilling out. We see that this has magical wand quality going up to intermingle with the stars under the moon, right? Which is resemblant of a lot of different things that we've been seeing. But then this one is the wildness. And if you did read the post, I was talking about the 7-year cycle that's starting. I mean, we're shifting into a new karmic loop where you can kind of choose your trajectory. And I don't think it's like, I mean, you've already chosen for the past 6 months a new way of being if you've been like working or just, I don't know, following along with the way that I talk about things. So if you've been doing like certain amounts of work to start new things for yourself or release things and discontinue certain things, then there's no like decisive moment now, right? Because if you have two paths that would have been pretty close in the beginning, at this point, you're on a path or something. But for the next 7 years, right, I think that things have been ramping up in difficulty as far as being able to manage the increase in energy and still feel good and take care of the self and not spiral or be tipped into states of insecurity or like feeling rocked by the collective purging that's going on. It's really intense. I mean, I've been getting a lot of sensations, dreams, energies, particularly just around like children and stuff and abuse and just like all this stuff that's disturbing to me, and it has to do with what's going on in the world, right? I think about posts that I put on the meme page that Stephanie Green writes, because she's like a deeply fire-burning person who connects to, the way she writes is very indicative of having a pulse on collective suffering and how that can be felt if you tap into collective energies. So it's intense, and it's sort of, even though we've laid that groundwork, or at least taken a trajectory to one of, and it's not really one of two, you know, it's just a model anyway. There's infinite places where a person could find themselves right now in their karmic, like, walk, path, journey. And it's a decisive moment in that there are certain, I think, temptations, or like Mercury's in retrograde, right? People from the past popping back up to reach out, or things of the past, or not all that's bad, by the way. Mercury retrograde gets a totally bad rep, but it's very productive. There are certain times and certain things where you need to revisit, you need to go back, you need to look again, there's a purpose for it, and it serves a function in our collective. But why I was talking about the 7-year cycle is because I see this, I called it a merry-go-round, and being able to hop on a carousel of repeating karmic loops where it would basically, I heard another person who I'm sorry, I don't know who I was listening to. This was probably last week. Wait, and now it completely left my mind. Oh, I heard somebody say something like, maybe this was an astrology video talking about, and I think I will talk more about the astrology in the 2024 video, but basically it's like, what if your life, would you like it if your life for the next 7 years was just 2022 on repeat, or 2023 on repeat? More likely than not, 2022 and the first half of 2023 on repeat. That's like what we will get into if we choose to bypass this kind of lesson. And I think for a lot of people, it's not quite a choice. I think it's if their consciousness is on board enough to understand that this is a critical time to like make changes in behavior. I think people that miss this carousel pickup, or rather don't miss it, but get swept up in it, if it's a karmic carousel, they're not going to be asleep by the next turn. We'll just say that, right? This is a pretty crucial one. I think a lot of people are going to go around again, and that's okay because everybody's on their own path and their own carousel. It just has to do with like what it is you're feeling, how these transits have affected you up until this point, and what that means going forward. So tumbling through space here, he's literally impaled by all 10 swords. And I just see this as a, where did I just see as well? Something resonated with me, but I passed it by. Oh, it's literally in the same card. I don't know if the camera will pick this up. Yes, it will, but will it focus on it? Could it? Maybe I need to tap the screen in order to. What I'm trying to point out is that these stars here in the sky, they're bigger than the others because they're drawn with a bunch of lines that intersect, like the swords. For me, that shape, the star with a bunch of lines, that's mimicking all the swords going through him. You see the swords going through the stars out here. I just see him as spiraling through space. Not to mention, he's literally, ensnared in the talons of a predatory bird. So his fate is not up to him. And that is something of like the entrapments of not being able to move on and let go of things that aren't serving you in the Ten of Swords way, where we see him on the ground, painful, tough, hard endings. But if we go back into kind of the wheel again, or that spinning shape, the wheel of fortune, endings are just beginnings. You can't really stop states of change, even with like death and rebirth. So I'm going to shuffle out a clarifier. No, I'm not. I'm going to get top and bottom. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, it's the 5 of Swords here and the 7 of Wands. Okay. 5 of Swords and 7 of Wands. Cut the deck. The Knight of Wands. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get 2 more of these off the top. Look, Harmony. Number 6. This is the Lovers card. And this is the World. 2 major arcana off the top. So again, with like closing out cycles, the Hierophant is asking us to take this like contractually seriously. Like at the end of 2023, if you were sitting down with a legal person, I'm trying to think of how to set this up properly to make it make the most sense for the longest amount of time that I can talk about it for. I don't know enough about the legal system in order to run the analogy all the way through. But anyway, say you're trying to set, wait, because now I've lost the thread. Whether or not you take the end of 2023 seriously, it's as if we're sitting down at a table with a lawyer or something, or like drafting up a prenuptial agreement, but I don't know enough about that to talk about that at length either. Crossing out sections, removing clauses, editing things down to make sure that we are okay with how 2024 is going to be and what we want to be a part of it. And I'm even seeing, look at this, I like that. See how this hand is coming from a diagonal and there's like a cross axis mirrored in this card too? That's union energy, partnership, alliance energy. All of that's on the other side of the closeout though, and the 10 of Swords, or being able to successfully end one cycle and enter into a new one. And I think that it's complicated because it has to do with a lot of the things that I've been talking about, that like the collective shadow work has been purging in terms of polarity healing, but also different phases from the past 7-8 years around traumas that we never really resolved, right, or looked at, and like how we kind of got to the points that we're at and what that means going forward. I think that it's as serious as if we were writing it into some type of agreement, okay, with the Hierophant and his scrolls. It feels as if our intention and our energy, and this is why I said a couple weeks ago, I said, if there was ever a time to be incredibly spiritually diligent and hygienic, take care of yourself, mind who you're around, and do things like, I mean, if it makes you feel good and you resonate with it and you understand the value and the power of it and you use sustainable materials and everything, then do things like smudging with sage, or I mean, I use cedar, different kinds of herbs, Palo Santo, to keep your space and your body, like your human aura, grounded and cleansed. And the least, basically how I see it is that the world is hard enough. You're giving your body and your vessel a fighting chance to even be able to a little bit connect with anything that makes sense. That's the purpose of all that for me. But it's like a pivotal, crucial time, not to be feared, to be embraced, because I believe the types of people that I would be attracting to this channel to hear this stuff have been trying to make changes or taking them seriously and understanding of that, because they can feel it. You know, you can see it in your life and you feel it in like the intensity of the dream space, or whatever it may be. I was even talking to my grandmother about clairvoyance and different things. What was she talking to me about? We were talking about the healthcare system and bedside manner and all sorts of stuff as well. Yeah, so another theme with this closeout between now, this is a short-term turnaround reading. This is really, the purpose of me wanting to do this was like, what are we not seeing in the end of the year that's still making the inevitable, which is quite beautiful. There's this beautiful passage until April where there's no retrogrades. It is like the best time to make a bunch of progress. I think people could make about 2 to 5 years worth of growth and progress in the first couple months of 2024 if they play their cards right. And it's like, what is still making it challenging for us to fully support all of the good stuff that has the potential to move forward without obstacles? Like, what's still, like I said with the dog at the dog show, kind of the funny steps at the end that we need to look out for, has to do with other people still, and making sure that we understand our participation in things and where certain boundaries are even fairly applied. I've been talking about Armadillo Spirit because it keeps coming out with setting healthy boundaries, and I've been writing a little bit about my personal experiences when it comes to boundary setting and why a person might want to, or the importance of it in terms of like hermit energy and knowing yourself in that space and being able to differentiate your own shadow self from the projections of others, and really like sink teeth into the layers of your own, meat. I'm seeing like marbling in a meat thing, or sedimentary rock, right? Or just twisties, my old classic one around like how deep things go when things get knotted up inside of us. So there's something. So even though I've talked about that energy with boundary setting, I don't think I've talked as much as I could about how nuanced that space is. It's one of those things, just like so many others, that is going to continue to get very oversaturated with how we understand it. Like the words start to mean less because of how people misuse them, and not even misuse them, but use them so much. And yeah, I think too many cooks in the kitchen is the classic idiom that we hear with Five of Swords card. And the guys in this one, again, this isn't the normal depiction, but to me they kind of look confused, right? It's almost like that meme of Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire and the other dude who played Spider-Man, and they're all like in a circle looking at each other, pointing at each other. It's like they're not really in the midst of a battle or a conflict or a fight, but they're distracted and they're missing this beautiful aurora of magic that's moving through the skies. It's like they're not taking the bigger picture, focusing on the right things and understanding their place, you know? I mean, this guy's got the right idea because he's looking at a little butterfly and stuff and like stopping to engage with the fight or the confusion. But it's almost like being around other people. I'm not saying you have to isolate and go into full hermit mode. We already talked about that in a different reading that I recently posted. I think being in full hermit mode is more for the people that feel as if they haven't fortified the ability to protect their energy in whatever way that means for you. Like I mean, I'm not going to go into all that. People can take that as it resonates with them. That would be the reason to like stay in hermit mode. Like I've been accepting that I'm going to need to start kind of coming out of my hermit mode in a variety of ways. Part of me is like, no, leave it till April, the next time that it's actually quite balmy and comfortable here, which made me sad. In fact, I would have loved an absolutely frigid and snowy, blizzardy Christmas, but that is not the case. So anyway, it's almost as if it's not that we have to be in total hermit mode unless you feel like you still need to work on that like Four of Swords type of Four of Cups hermit restoration thing, and strengthening of the sense of self and continuing to do like personal shadow work. It's okay to be around people and out and about if that's not your case, but I'm getting that it could cause confusion and it could prevent you from seeing something that I talked about in a different reading in the hidden energy. It was the Chariot card and the Page of Pentacles, I believe, or maybe it was the Page of Swords, but it was this coupling around not being able to see opportunities as they present themselves that are going to be good and that are going to be very aligned, and they might come in like harmonious partnerships and alliances, or like, you know, new potentials for relationships and dating, or whatever it is that you want. If we're tied up in like petty things that keep us out of being able to notice the stuff that we want to, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue because it's like flanked by Seven of Wands. It's like he's hop skipping away. And the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands is an interesting card in this deck because it's like this figure is caught up in these tendrils of light material. And Knight of Wands can be that like very like, you know, lusty energy. And it's almost like the sensation that he's engulfed in. And the tendrils are the quality of this light, you know, and that plays in with the deck just back to like the magic, the truth of life, the bigger picture, the things that we like, that we want to pursue, that come from a passionate place. And because of that, it was 23 when I looked up, 5, 10, completion. It's been a way, like I talked about in the post from yesterday, that goes back to the whole childhood nostalgia thing, migrating more and more of like our lives to be able to recenter again, like with the colorful aspects, right? The stuff that society and all of the illusions and the programming and the indoctrinated ways of doing things that a lot of people don't question. That's the dark of these cards. That's the dark. The place where the light can come in is the originality and the new patterns, new ways of doing things. So I'm seeing it as like almost an old threat, right? Because of the boundary setting theme, having practice within that, and then also doing that within ourselves. Like I'm no longer going to let myself do something that I know is just repeatedly bad for me or something like that. You know, we find ways to set boundaries within our uses of time, uses of self-soothing stuff, you know. Like I've said time and time again, I'm a smoker, and like I know for a fact that I will not do it someday, but now's not that day. That's fine. I'm working on it, you know. Working on a lot of stuff all at once. What else am I going to do? It's okay not to be perfect and have things to work on, but we just want to make sure we're moving in the right direction and continuing to understand how delicate this balance is too. Clarify that from the bottom of this deck. Yeah, I think it's all about, it's this card again. Man, this one annoys me so much. Excuse me, this is the Tower, okay? The Tower, number 16, this is after the Devil. It's failing, it's like what happens, right, if we fail to heed the gentle way out. I do believe that a lot of people are in for some pretty intense towers. It's interesting that I pulled that too, right when I was talking about, like, for me, like smoking or stuff, because I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I'll stop eventually. But if we say that forever, then the Tower does. I mean, it's on its own time when that will come, but it, you know, who knows? I'll develop that popcorn lunger thing that they talk about. These are horrible, literally horrible for you. Horrible for you. I did it in my brother's car, and he was like, just pissed off that I did it in the car. And I was like, I feel like 5 months ago you would have asked me for a hit of it, but like, he's changed. He runs marathons. His body is a temple. So is mine, right? I should wean this out of my repertoire, but we all do things that aren't good for us. It's just about continually trying to work on and not need the dependency at all. For me, it has to do with the breath. The more I work on breath work, the more easy it is for me to like sit and be like, I don't need to respond to this urge that I'm constantly satiating. If anybody has oral fixation or nicotine addiction, they know that it's just right up there with like water and food. It's like, I'm hungry. Like, I'm thirsty. Like, I need what I need. Smoking wasn't bad for you. I would always have a cigarette in my mouth. I love smoking. And I always have. And I said this long ago, but it doesn't sit well for me with people who don't believe in past lives, because I feel like they'd be like, oh my gosh, shut up. That's so ridiculous. But it has past life energy too, like storytelling, and just like people have been smoking for thousands of years. So anyway, it is a cautionary thing. Okay, clarify it with one of these cards. What are we getting around Devil energy, Tower energy, how this plays in with the Seven of Wands, the Knight of Wands, connecting to passionate energy that's continuing to persevere towards like new beginnings. Oh, I was also going to say that the Hierophant, right? The Hierophant energy with the Two of Wands is sort of, for me, with the Wands theme continuing, the Knight of Wands, the Seven of Wands. The Knight of Wands and the Seven of Wands are in on the cosmic scrolls, right? I think whatever's kind of captivating our passions that we're hopping away from, that's keeping us out of toxic dynamics right now, is what's written in the stars for us, which is why I think it's a really positive shift for most people. But with the Ten of Swords, the karmic cycles going around and around again, I think that that's what it's going to feel like if we don't. Let's get the clarifier like that. That's what I want. Clarify that. Like who and what. I'll know what to say when I see it. I'm being told. Just shuffle. Yeah, it's 3 cards. So let's see what little mini spread that is. That's the Hierophant and the Two of Wands. Oh, hey! Wow. It's the moments like that that if I do watch the videos back, which I typically do, I don't watch them, but I'll listen to what I said. And I do something like that absentmindedly. Oh, hey! I'm like, oh my God, right? Ugh! Oh my God, okay. If you don't know about this artist, and frankly, I don't either because I'm not coming up with the name, but somebody makes oriental rugs. And then at a certain point, the threads and the way that it's woven, it starts being like this. And then they're like hung on the wall of a gallery. And then there's just a bunch of like thread puddles. Or they even weave it down until it becomes like a puddly rug on the floor. But because of I like Uzi, like the lava lamp oil slick. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with them. I must have one day. Or I must curate a home or a space that does. But they're very cool because, I mean, if you think about that symbolically, if I were to use my critical art critique lens, my eye, well, oriental rugs, they represent tradition. A lot of homes or people tend to kind of like inherit those. They have a high value to them. And it's like the dissolving of tradition. And these colors like blending, right? Going outside of form and structure. This is the Sun card in this deck. I don't know if I've ever pulled this card from this deck for a reading, but look, it's like the Scroll of Destiny from the Hierophant card, but it ends up looking like a lily, one of those fluted white flowers. You know what I mean? Because it looks like it. And it's drippy, okay? And also, if you think about like the shape of vaginas and like flowers and oysters and all that, and like this, and like the fact that it's dripping, there's something there. The Hermit and the World came out too, okay? This is like the goodness of how good things are when things are aligned. There's a huge, huge, huge wave, if you'd like to be receptive to it and catch wind of it, coming in for creative people to understand in 2024 that has to do with abundance. It's really beautiful, and it has to do with understanding that you don't have to kill yourself or work incredibly hard or always be fighting in a certain kind of way in order to have something with a certain level of success. There's a different understanding to how we can connect to the energy of abundance and like leverage it because of how what we're doing is functioning in a greater scheme, where there's going to be a lot of beautifully supported things. Yeah, that is a collective energy. That's really beautiful. And I mean, it ties right into what I was saying with like the dissolving of the geometric structure of a normal rug. I'll put it on I don't want to do that. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to put it on the screen because that would mean that I have to drop the video into an editor and do the clip thing, and I'm not feeling it today. But next time I actually do that, I'll put a picture of one of these rugs in, and I'll find the account. So if you're interested in looking at them, then you can. I think it's one of those art ideas that a few people probably kind of copped and produced similar things. So if you know what I'm talking about, I think it's an idea that's done by a few different artists at this point in time. But basically, I mean, the Hermit I was already talking about, the World already came out in this deck. It's just the Sun. This is the new information when I asked for clarification on that whole story. I really do think that the people I'm talking to are in for a much better time of it. And keep in mind too, like, when was I talking about the eye of the storm? I never posted this. I was out walking and I used this big analogy about a bunch of stuff, but it reminds me of this card because clarity and truth doesn't come from fixing your life or having all these elements be perfect. It comes from continuing to know yourself and do what it is that you're authentically guided to do as a result of that. No matter if people think you're crazy, or, I mean, of course, there's so many ways to go about things with tact and sink into more levels of compassion and empathy to genuinely consider, how do I not violate myself and my truth, but also communicate to this person in a way that isn't harmful to them, or like says what needs to be said. It's easy to do. It sounds like this complicated thing of considering so much all at once in order to be like right or stable, but you don't consider anything at all. You just act, you just live. You don't overanalyze, you don't think. We can only act from that place, that center amongst the chaos, and still be aligned if we've healed. The whole thing is that if somebody sinks into their intuition and they all have all this junk that's unhealed, they'll always be reactive in a way where if they don't think before they act, it'll be harmful, because hurt people. So the healing that we've done this year has helped us to be able to more authentically not be in these churning like mental prisons of trying to sort things out and heal things out. Release things is what I just heard. Heal things out of the body. Release things. So that there's no sensitive nerves to be triggered by somebody else, because we know it doesn't have to do with us, or at least we know, there's again with boundaries, a more clear understanding of where ours end and where other people's stuff picks up. And I actually saw something of like two specimen, like I don't even know what this is. Like something you'd see under a microscope, and they're two different kinds of things, but when they get close enough, they do start to become one body, and like cells will transfer over and it starts to link up. And it's like there are certain things that over time our lives do that with. That can be dependencies, or it can be people, or it can be, I don't know, a horrible thing that you always do to avoid taking accountability in the way that is actually just, okay, for yourself and integrity, but also everybody else involved who you affect on a daily basis. I think that the cards are telling us pretty affirmatively that it's going to be easier to not have to do all of this stuff that's very mindful and intentional around getting our needs met. I was like, I know it's wrong, but I can't not say it twice because I don't know what I just said. Getting our needs met. It's going to be easier. It's going to be easier because in the past, we haven't been truly in a locus that feels really calm and peaceful, that comes from our centered self, that is illuminated by the intuition. It's going to be easier to trust this because we're not as like, I see like if you're migrating around and you're like getting, you feel the tug of the current. It's almost like the closer you get to the eye of the storm, the more the force is whipping or something. It's like he'd be going the fastest, like around the center of the tornado thing. But then once you get into the center, there's no, it's like the zero gravity type of thing. And then we can stay there. And there's like, it's what I think Abraham Hicks refers to, or I know that they refer to as the vortex, like the vortex of creation. When you're actually balanced in alignment, you've healed your vessel. You can allow energy to like flow through you and like authentically inspire things from within you, which is for me why I'm always like, it's like the weaving of the matter. It's what in this deck is depicted by this inspirational current that's available to us that most people just let pass them by. Okay, let's get some of these. We had the World card. Okay, before I do, I'm going to clarify. All right, these are going away. I'm keeping the sun out just because I like to look at it. Blah. Okay. This is the Tower. I'm clarifying this. Yeah, okay. Rest and rejuvenate. Came out to clarify the Tower. This is the Four of Swords. And I was saying that I think with the Hermit energy, it's like, well, this time of year, right? A lot of people tend to do more like family group, holiday, celebratory activities, or then like, think about how awful it is that a lot of people party on New Year's Eve, like the celebratory, like the initiatory. Like I've had so many years, or like when the clock strikes midnight, I've started off so many years on the wrong foot, and like partying too hard is to blame. A lot of people party really hard on New Year's Eve, you know? I think if a lot of people just, and this is literally the same guy. That's kind of weird to me. Sometimes there's different people in these cards, but this guy looks very much like the same guy to me. Then it takes you all of January to recover from like being out of the loop, right? There's a part of me this time of year that gets very itchy where I'm like, okay, enough of this slow life, especially because there's no snow. If it was blizzarding, I'd be like, oh, I'm inside. But now I'm just like, it's like 60 degrees out. I'm disoriented. I want for everything to go back to normal and for things to just keep going because I'm done like resting and hermiting. I'm ready, ready to go. However, that's when we're going to miss things. That, as you sense within me, is like my unhealed urgent thing. If I was super zen and evolved, you know, I'm a work in progress where I'll be coming. I'd be more patient. There's no need to stress or urgency anything along more than it's already going at the pace that it's going. So I think that it has to do with like recalibrating our expectations of like anxiety triggers too. Anxiety triggers around right and wrong, because there's never not going to be things. I'm also this split. I see a dog leash that goes into little dog leashes, and then each ending has a different dog on the end of it. That'll come up a little bit later. There was 3 messages baked into that, and we're gonna talk about it, not in this reading, but in the next few days. So I'm gonna leave that. Now we're gonna do I mean, this is 40 minutes already. That's probably good. I'm going to shuffle these, and then I'm going to do just energy to embrace and energy to release, because that whole part could be considered current. Knight of Wands again. Did I forget to say something? Well, I'm going to read the card from Partnerships and Alliances because I said I would, and I'm remembering that, so it seems relevant to do. I haven't forgotten. I always forget what I say I'm going to do. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. It was giving me Three of Pentacles energy too. Oops. That was a sad one. It's not a good one to end off on. Energy to embrace, energy to release. I'm going to pull 2 more for each. Energy to embrace, energy to release. Oh my goodness. One more. I gotta know. Energy to embrace. Oh my God. How funny. How funny. Okay, so I am going to read for this. So I'm going to leave this up. Put these away. Energy to release. Ten of Swords. We've already seen it. Ace of Cups, okay? And 4 of Swords. Energy to embrace. Chariot. That's Cancerian energy. The Empress. Haven't seen her in a hot sec. And then the King of Wands, which I showed when I was shuffling. We've already seen it. This is the energy to embrace. Now, I mean, I talked about what's going to prevent us from, like, if you don't take time out, right? I was talking about New Year's Eve and partying and just flying through this pretty sacred time of the year without taking your time out. You know, if you only make it really social, like I tend to find, or I can think back on years where like this time I just like really indulged and ate a bunch of food and like Christmas and New Year's. And then like, it takes me like a while to feel like I'm like back in the swing of things. And everybody says that too. People are like, oh, we're just getting back in the swing of things. Like suddenly it's April and we've wasted all this beautiful, no retrograde, like full steam ahead energy. So I think if we don't take time out, then you're going to have towers that are a result of not really like minding your P's and Q's in whatever ways you need to right now. But I think it also just has to do with your own, like the way we feel. Like there's another uptick in like people getting sick out there in the world, you know, stuff going around. Just like taking care of yourself. But when we have the 4 of Swords and the release energy, I'm kind of getting that it's like, okay, give me one more from the bottom of the deck to clarify these 3. This is the guidebook, the bottom of the deck. It's the 6 of Cups. Okay. Okay. So this is obviously really beautiful. The Chariot, the Empress, Major Arcana. This is the embrace energy to embrace. It's fast forward motion. It's very much opposite, especially with the Knight of Wands. Very much opposite of this contemplative 4 of Swords energy, no matter which deck we use. By the way, folks, when I start doing readings and I'm getting the same cards from both decks, it's just, I feel like that's been happening for a couple days now. There's something to that as well. Because it's couples again, doubles and stuff. So I think that this is really cautionary stuff around the devil energy, and like, not that it ever goes away, right? It's just strengthening the ability to use healthy coping mechanisms and like continue to be perceptive of letting the horse and the cart get too far away. so that no matter what it is, like indulgences or like triggered types of behaviors or ways of being, you don't get so far away that it's more likely to happen, right? It's all about mindfulness, but I kind of think that's an ongoing process, and maybe moving into the new year, we don't have to be fully removed in hermit mode. It's more about applying this Four of Swords energy to the idea that I shared a few weeks back, where it was like, if I have a moment at the beginning of the day where I'm like, I feel good, I'm going to zip it up like a body bag, but it's energy and it's glowing and it's around me, and I take it with me when I walk. And if I ever feel like I'm like forgetting that that's where I live, like nobody can touch this sealed space of energetic, emotional, like I know that I'm good, you know? I'm not carrying any density bad crap around with me. So if I feel that or I start getting into that, then I'm like, okay. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be like, bye. I do whatever I need to do with whoever I need to do it in whatever ways that I need, you know, or want, or whatever's going on for whatever reason. Everybody's lives are complicated. I don't get affected by it as an empath, and I don't walk away feeling like a soggy piece of cardboard that has little chunks missing. Because sometimes that's how I feel when I walk away from somebody, if I'm not like protected in my energy, right? I think other people can relate to that as well. So it's almost like that ability to zip up the energy or seal the field and go on our way gives us the ability to rest and rejuvenate while we're potentially like moving out of a more solo space of healing and recalibration. One of the biggest parts of like healing and putting things down is moving on, just letting it go, right? Moving on. And this could be something with like, who knows? I mean, moving on, releasing, it could be moving away from the idea of somebody or something or a new relationship, but it could be like, it's kind of a conflicting energy, because again, that like if anybody were to be like, oh no, sadness, no, what you want will make you, what is coming to you will make you happier. Sometimes we develop attachment to things that we think are going to make us a certain level of happy when something else could make you happier or is more resonant with you. You still get to pick and manifest what it is that you want. But that's where it gets dicey around, of course, like letting the universe have enough agency to bring you what's matching to your vibration. I need some clarity on this whole situation. I kind of want to see, because I'm thinking back to the Hierophant again and the Two of Wands and like the scrolls and the sun. We've got the Empress. But this is in the release position, okay? So clarify the Ten of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and the Six of Cups in the release position. Let me think for a second, though, because I had a message come through about it right when I pulled them out, and then I forgot it. Oh, I remember. Because the Embrace position has a lot of forward momentum attached to it, with the Chariot and the Knight of Wands being about forward motion. It has to do with this complacency of like, if you want something, go get it. If you want something, go get it. This is sitting around waiting, thinking that something's just going to pop up like you're a child, right? This is a more mature, like you have Empress energy that's fully embodied. And this can represent children, past life connections and nostalgia and all that, but it's like, I think it has to do as well with like waiting for things to come to you. Ace of Cups is a beautiful new offer of like love and connection or emotional new beginnings, right? New cups energy. It's the difference between this vibration, right? Like the vibration of the Chariot, the Empress, and the Knight of Wands is like proactive and confident, and it's a quick moving, so it's high vibrational energy. And it's not that this isn't, but it's almost like it's more passive, especially when it comes out with this. So it's almost like we have to really understand where we've been waiting for things to like come to us or fall into our laps. Not because we're not manifesting in an effective manner, but because manifestation still requires forward action, you know, that you have to believe in yourself to be able to push forward and accomplish. But from a relationship standpoint, because it's Ace of Cups, Six of Cups, I want clarity still. So let's think about it. This needs to get out of my face, because this card, the Disruption card, is not my favorite. It gives me a weird feeling, because I'm so like, I'm sure other people feel this too, but like synesthetic almost in the body, like the disruption card. It just makes me feel all chunked up. I don't like it. It makes me feel like I have a block in my solar plexus and I don't want to. Clarify the 6 of Cups and the Ace of Cups and the 10 of Swords in the release position. One more. You cannot make this stuff up. You guys, you people, I don't know who I'm ever talking to. My friends. You can't make it up, okay? Again, with the doubles, we already saw the 5 of Wands, okay? So I'm clarifying, release this. Any of the petty bullshit that causes heartbreak or makes you feel like you're not good enough, like all these narratives from the past around things that didn't work out, things that had too many people going on, too many opinions, you know, not being able to look up and see this beautiful energy that's floating through this universally accessible sphere. It's keeping us from being melded into the beautiful tapestry of life where colors can become one. You know, I think we've done the healing work to understand that. And the sun came out of the other deck too, because it's ultimate happiness and fulfillment. And you have to trust that what you want is wanting you. Trust it. I promise that it's true. And if it doesn't end up like happening in that way for you, or if it's like what you want is not wanting you, then you're learning a lesson and you're getting closer to, it's still right, you know? It's just part of the shedding and the process around it all. So when the cards are repeating so much, they're saying, we have said what we had to say today. We gave you both suns. We gave you an empress. We gave you all this lovely, nice stuff. Partnerships and alliances is how I'm going to end off, because I said that I would. Because I said that I would. And so I will. Blum, 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 blum. Blum, 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 blum. Okay. By the way, if you've watched my readings for months, then you know about the card from the John Holland Psychic Tarot, or you might know it from watching other people's readings or whatever, but it's from this deck, and it's called The Waiting Game. That card is technically the 2 of Wands, but it has that guy with the hourglass. This card is the 3 of Wands, even though we call them different things for the purposes of a different expression of energy, being able to elicit, evoke different things. Also, check this out. I love the tarot. Blue on top, purple on the bottom. See that mirroring? You see? Blue, purple. Could just go all day. Partnerships and alliances, the 3 of Wands. It comes after that card. So that's major. That's major. There was so much waiting energy, and like again with the temperance energy, which didn't come out, but I saw it at the bottom of the deck earlier. So I see this as like I saw somebody pull a come on, it's so easy. A stopper, plug, a cork, one of the bathtub things, a plug out of a drain. Okay. I see somebody pulling a plug out of a drain because there's something that's been removed as far as collective obstacles and blocks, where there was not, like, divine timing has been sorting out a lot of things for a lot of people's lives, and there's a lot of pieces in that pie, and I believe that things are going to move a little bit quicker now into the new year, as far as like the right pieces fitting into the right places too. That's an old analogy, thinking about taking things out, putting them back together in the ways that they actually fit, not in a way that fools ourselves, but in a way that really, truly is the proper assembly of the pieces of our own selves. That's macro, micro. So that's of the world, of your groups or communities or free, whatever organizations or whatever it is that you're part of or would like to be. This is a year of, for a lot of people, I think, creating a different way to interact with a sense of community outside of themselves. All right. So anyway, releasing that plug lets us get out of the waiting game. He's not on that track anymore. That's great. He reached out and somebody else is there. Oh, I love that. The meaning of this card denotes that you're now starting to see the fruits of your labor take seed and blossom. There may still be a lot to do, but watch out for synchronicities, which could bring opportunities to form connections or unexpected alliances that may create something new. These could assist you in gathering resources for future projects. With all partnerships, always remember that there has to be an even exchange of energy. If you give too much, whereas your partner gives too little, it will leave you feeling energetically drained and cause potential disharmony in the union. There must be overall balance within the alliance in order for it to work and blend together for optimum results. This card reminds you that success comes in many forms, even from the most unlikely sources. Have an open mind when listening to others. Yeah. And I'm seeing again, like the threads of the rug that's like traditional, and then it goes into, it's a breaking of tradition. And I think that reciprocity and energy exchange can happen in a lot of different ways. Like reciprocity can look and appear like a lot of different things. And I think it makes me think of quantum potentials as well, because it's talking about synchronicities. And sometimes I have people say like, hey, I've been seeing this nonstop. It's so weird. It's so crazy. It's blowing my mind. I don't know what to do about it. And it's like, well, number one, you're very seen and held by the universe. It's letting you know that. And the more we can stop saying like, it's so crazy. No, that's the way that it is. You're meant to notice and interact with the finely woven quilt of meaning that surrounds you because it's speaking to you. That's often how angels and guides speak to you. That's how your own manifestations show you patterns, right? And so if there's, like if there's a big, who knows? Let me come up with an example or see one. It's like if you're making a crucial decision and it's honestly, you have no idea how these things could pan out. Let's say it's a purchase, like a big investment, and you don't know which one to go with. But then for me, I don't know, maybe I'm standing outside looking at two ponies, which one? I could love them both so much. These ponies, both incredible, great ponies. And a butterfly floats down and lands on the back of one. I'd be like, sold, that pony. 56 when I looked up, which was 11:11. And so letting the synchronicities and the things that we, notice in this eye of the storm from the world card from the Prism of Visions Tarot, being in that place. I think a lot of people have dissatisfaction when they heal, and it's hard not to pick up the loop again of toxic cycles because we mistake again stability for boredom. I'm never bored. You could never bore me. Because life is just not boring. It's not. I don't find it to be boring. And so it's like when we're not engaging with the certain kinds of like toxic cycles mentally that we are used to feeling, it's like I'm seeing particles that are all charged up and jazzed up by a certain thing moving in the same circuit. And when they don't have that ammunition to keep them going that way, they just kind of exhaust themselves out. But then it's like their life force is gone from like moving in this certain way. No, you just add new charge to the particles to make them move in a new motion. And that's the eye of the storm of like, I choose how I want to, think and partake, but also what I want to make in this empty space. So there's a lot of guidance from the universe for everybody's path about what the right choices are, quote unquote, the right choices. We don't know a lot of the times what we want or what we want to do, right? And the universe is like, yes, you do. Deep down, you do. I'm a mirror. The faces of the people around you, the pennies on the sidewalk, the feathers that you notice, all of it. Like, it's helping you remind yourself that you do know what you want. And so the little synchronicities, the ones that are the craziest, they blow your mind. There's a reason for that. So heed them and allow them to be, something of a lucky omen to kind of help you gain faith in the things that you're choosing as different types of opportunities, like it talked about, come up. One more to leave off on. Funny. This card is different. It's an extra card in this book. It's called Tiny Elephants. And I guess I have to read from the book about it because I have no idea what it means. I forget. Because I can't pull it out of any other deck. It doesn't exist. Two tiny elephants trek through the tall grass. The calf holds the tail of its mother as it peers around to ensure nothing gargantuan is hiding just out of view. To the tiny elephants, the grass is a wild world of its own. To the humans above, the grass is only a thought. When you pull tiny elephants in a reading, it asks you to acknowledge the perspective of your situation. Pay attention to the things around you. If your perspective feels like it has grown tired, then get on the floor, stand on a chair, find a new way of looking. You will be surprised how fresh something old can feel when you look at it differently. There is wonder in small things, and there is beauty in understanding another's point of view. Yeah, perfect way to summarize. It has to do with, not becoming bored or stagnant and keeping, being self-sufficient in that way. I think the reason why we have so many people dependent on so many different things is that people simply can't entertain themselves. The industry of entertainment is everything for a lot of people, or like relying on not having passions and hobbies and creative stuff. And there's going to be more of that in the future. Okay. Anyway, I am going to not put the post that I wanted to do on the website today because this feels like a very ample offering to the collective. And I'd like to do some other things this evening to decompress in a private space and take care of myself and feel good. Rest and rejuvenate before I chariot my way into the new year. So I hope everybody's doing really well. And the lasting thought that I personally am being told to share, like not personally about my life or anything, but just my guides want me to emphasize that it is really as if you can sit down and like pretend you're drafting up some type of legal agreement where it's like, I want to, if somebody sat down and said like, okay, we're going to change your life and help you do what it is that you want to do. And we're going to like suspend disbelief and try to build a good new thing that you feel good about. It could be like the most changes that resemble nothing like what you're currently doing or who you are. Or it could be minimal changes to just help you continuing to align, but it's like this beautiful manifestation counselor, but he's legal and he's related to the Hierophant, so there's a level of weightiness, like writing to Santa. I don't want to use that comparison because that's annoying to me, but asking for what it is you want. Just be excited by that. Be excited by that prospect because I think that's pretty special. And there's like just an interesting gravity because of the state of the world to the excitement in the energy. Very, very strange dichotomy. And like I talked about, feeling just like stricken with a lot of grief and a lot of pain in terms of collective transmutation recently, and how that does not negate like my excitement for certain things. It just makes it complicated to be a vessel that can hold all of that simultaneously. So I know that people who listen to me feel that way as well. It's overwhelming. So take care of yourself. And yeah, bye.